The little girl danced across the grass, her pink dress fluttering with every spin. The hem shimmered with glitter, catching the sunlight like scattered stars. A pair of wings clung to her back, with a complex silver-threaded pattern stitched lovingly into the fabric. Too delicate to ever fly, but perfect for pretending. Her bare feet left soft impressions in the grass as she skipped through the garden. Wind rustled the tall grass like whispers, but she didn't notice. Her eyes were fixed ahead. The girl's mother sat at the edge of the flower bed, half in shadow, her back turned. The canvas in front of her bloomed with color, deep purples, muted whites, flickers of gold. Poppies, rue, daisies, and pansies took shape under her careful brushstrokes. Each bloom felt chosen and deliberate. The little one tilted her head and crept closer, grinning with wide-eyed curiosity. "What are you doing, Mommy?" Her mother turned with a soft smile, eyes crinkling in the way that always made the world feel safe. "Trying to catch the flowers before the light changes, sweetie." The girl crouched beside her mother, studying the brush as if it were a wand casting spells. The painted flowers mirrored the real ones blooming behind the canvas. A single pansy had lost its stem and now lay forgotten in the soil, half hidden in the shadows. Her mother's strokes were confident but tender, as though she were remembering each flower more than inventing it. The breeze shifted. What had been a gentle rustle grew into a push, brushing past the girl's cheek and sending ripples through her wings. Leaves danced across the stone path behind them, and the edges of the canvas began to tremble. Her mother squinted at the sky, then back at her nearly finished work. Her hand started to cap the paint jar. "All right, little fairy. Looks like the clouds are already here." The girl looked up. The darkness had approached silently, like a hunter stalking its prey, and blacked the sky within minutes. Thick, low, and gray like smoke. The woman stood up with an elegant sweep of her paint-covered skirt. "We should get this inside before the rain gets any ideas." The soft brush clinked into the glass jar as she folded the easel with one hand and reached for the palette with the other. Her daughter didn't speak. She simply nodded, picking up the smallest paint tin with both hands and following behind. A gust of wind swept through the garden, sharp enough to shiver the trees and send flower petals spiraling like confetti. The unfinished painting flapped once, as if resisting being taken indoors. The paintress pauses briefly, steadying it with one hand. "Hey, easy." The canvas obliged. They continued on their path into the house, chased by a wind that no longer felt playful. The girl's wings brushed on the doorway as she entered, escaping the drops of rain that just started in their chase. The door closed behind them with a soft thud, muffling the weather outside. The inside was a world of its own. Once a guest room, it had long since been transformed. Canvases leaned against every wall, some wrapped in protective cloth, others exposed like precious relics of old. The scent of aged paper, varnish, and turpentine hung in the air, comforting. Prints of classical works were pinned to boards or clipped into frames for evaluation. Some were pristine, preserved in tight glass. Others bore annotations, markings or small golden stamps with the insignia of the directorate. The woman set the easel down and took the painting into the corner where the drying rack stood. She moved with care, precision, and gentleness. To her, this was more than a hobby. It was a passion. Her daughter hovered near the center of the room, turning slowly in place, soaking in the strange, beautiful stillness. Even at her age, she knew the paintings were important. Not just because they were old, but because her mother treated them with so much care. The little girl pointed toward a frame resting on a shelf just her height. "I like this one." The woman glanced over and smiled. "Oh, that's a wonderful pic. It's called Sweet Melancholy." "What's melancholy?" Her mother paused, glancing at the painting again. Melancholy it's a kind of sadness, but not the loud, crying kind. It's soft, like missing something beautiful you can't have anymore, or knowing something is ending, even if it hasn't ended yet. Like it's the last day of summer? Exactly like that. Even sadness can be gentle. That's why it's called melancholy. The girl's fingers brushed the edge of the frame. The canvas inside was just a copy of the real thing, but she didn't know or care. The woman in the painting wore a yellowish golden dress, her posture soft and distant. A bouquet sat on the table next to her, while a pot of incense filled the room with aroma. "I like her dress and the flowers." The mother agreed. Joseph Marie Vien wanted his paintings to be simpler and calmer. His works helped start a whole new movement called neoclassicism. He even taught Jacques-Louis David, who later became one of the most famous painters during that time. The little fairy didn't care much about these foreign names and complicated terms. Her eyes were already darting across the room, pulled toward canvases that shimmered with stormy seas, battles frozen in oil, and saints with golden halos. She moved like a butterfly in a museum, never still long enough to land. Only now did her mother notice the earrings clipped to her daughter's ears. "Sweetie, what did I tell you about taking my jewelry?" The girl clutched them instinctively, half turning as if to hide them behind her hair. "I only borrowed them for the dress." Her mother crossed her arms but didn't raise her voice. "You must ask first, sweetie. Fairies don't steal earrings. Unless you're actually a little magpie." The girl frowned, her wings giving a tiny twitch. "Magpies don't steal. They're smart. We learned that in kindergarten." Her mother raised an eyebrow, amused. "Well, also clever creatures need to ask first, even if they are just borrowing things." The little girl tilted her head. "I'm sorry, Mommy." The woman brushed a bit of glitter off her daughter's cheek. "It's all right, little magpie. Next time, just ask." Sharing is much more magical than having to hide stuff. Now, let's go wash that sparkly stuff off your face. The girl didn't run off, not yet. She lingered, watching as her mother was sidetracked by a larger canvas near the wall. A cloth had been draped over it, tucked just so, like it was sleeping. Her mother pulled it away with both hands. The colors were darker, the scene storm-tossed and violent. A broken raft. Men sprawled across it, some reaching, others collapsed. A flag held aloft in desperation. It's called The Raft of the Medusa by Theodore Géricault. It's my favorite. The girl didn't understand why. It looked scary. Her mother's voice was calm in contrast. It's about something terrible, yes. A real shipwreck a long time ago. But look at the horizon. Her finger pointed at a small ship coming to the rescue from the distance. That's why it's my favorite. They didn't give up and still waved the flag. Because hope is stronger than fear. The daughter was still unsure. But the colors are so dark. Is it going in the museum? Even better. A proud smile formed on the mother's face. The real painting is going to hang in the Directorate's council chamber in the capital, where all the most important people make decisions. She didn't say it like she admired them. She said it like the painting mattered more. Most of them won't notice it. They'll just walk by. But one might stop. One might see it, and maybe. A sharp sound cut through the stillness. It was a knock on the door, sharp and measured. 3 precise taps, followed by silence. Not the kind of knock that came from neighbors or friends. It struck the air. It struck the air like a warning. The girl turned instinctively and darted for the front of the house, her wings fluttering behind her like trailing paper. Her bare feet tapped lightly against the floorboards. Her mother stood frozen for a heartbeat, hands still resting against the canvas. Then, as if waking from a dream, she wiped her palms on the paint-stained cloth and followed. Her daughter had already opened the front door. 2 men stood there, dressed in crisp black uniforms, bearing the silver crest of the Directorate. Their presence was clinical and unapologetic. They tried to smile at the girl, but it was the kind of smile that didn't reach the eyes. Thin, practiced, and out of place. The taller man crouched slightly, his voice level but not warm. "Hello there. You must be..." Before you could finish, the mother appeared behind her. Her hand gently but firmly touched her daughter's shoulder. "Sweetie, go upstairs, please." The little one nodded, gave the man one last suspicious glance, and took off. Her footsteps echoed up the stairs in a quick rhythm. They were loud enough to be convincing. She'd faked it before, usually for pranks, but this time she wasn't hiding mid-stairs to jump out and scare someone. This time she was hiding to listen. Downstairs, the tall man had straightened himself up and taken a formal stance, his expression neutral but unreadably firm. Myra Chambers. Her throat was already tightening. Yes. How can I help you? The taller man took half a step forward. My name is Officer Graves. This is Officer Holt. We are with the Directorate's Asphodel Division. May we come inside? Asphodel Division. Myra didn't respond right away. Her eyes were already glassy. She could already feel it. Something awful riding in on the backs of their perfectly polished boots. She stepped aside in silence and opened the door wider. The house no longer felt warm. The officers entered with quiet efficiency. No wasted movement. Their boots made a faint click against the clean floors. Graves didn't wait for long. Ma'am, I'm afraid there's no easy way to say this. Your husband has been killed in action 2 days ago. The words slammed into the air like a gunshot. Myra just stood there. What happened? Holt took over, voice low but unyielding. His unit led a frontal charge against a major rebel fortification. Despite their best efforts, they were overrun. Their sacrifice allowed the rest of our troops to reform and eradicate the remaining rebels. Nolan died in the service of the Directorate as a hero. The widow stared at him as if trying to will his words to change. I want to see him. Graves answered this time. That won't be possible. Per Directorate protocol, all battlefield casualties are recovered and cremated immediately. You mean I can't even say goodbye to my husband? Standard procedure, ma'am. Verification, documentation, and ceremonial preparation. The entire division will be honored in a memorial at the Grand Citadel. Brigadier General Tsiolis will be present. Tears began to stream down Myra's face. Her fists curled tight. I don't want a damn ceremony. I want my husband back. The silence that followed was thick and deliberate. Graves adjusted his cuff with bureaucratic care before speaking again. We understand your grief, and you have our deepest sympathies. But a word of advice. Be cautious with your words. Public dissent against Directorate protocol can prompt inquiries, investigations. The woman's jaw tightened. Her arms hung stiff at her sides, fists trembling, knuckles white from the pressure. Graves looked out of the window, watching the raindrops hit the glass. Take some time, perhaps a change of scenery, a trip to somewhere peaceful for your daughter. And once the pain dulls, you'll see your husband's sacrifice for what it was, a noble contribution to the greater good. Myra stared at the man, eyes wet but burning, as if she misheard him. Her voice, when it came, was low and broken. I want you to leave. The presence of these men made breathing almost impossible. Holt gave a crisp nod. Of course, ma'am. They turned in unison. No more words or empty apologies, just procedure. Myra followed them with her eyes until the last bit of their black uniforms vanished into the rain. Slowly, she stepped forward and pressed the door shut with both hands. Her forehead came to rest against the wood. She slid down the door like a collapsing sheet until she was sitting on the floor, her back to the world. Her hands clutched the sides of her head as if the infinite sadness overwhelmed her. The sobs came quiet at first, then full and shaking, raw and unfiltered. The kind of grief that doesn't make sound so much as it pulls it out of you. From the top of the stairs, the daughter clutched her knees, too afraid to move. She didn't understand the whole of it, only that something had broken in her mother that might never be fixed. The sobs didn't stop that day. Not after a week, not even after a year. They only grew quieter, retreating deeper into Myra's chest, becoming something wordless that lived behind her eyes, something her daughter will come to recognize with age, but never fully understand. The studio remained untouched for a long time. Rain came and went. Life kept moving, but nothing felt normal anymore. What had broken remained broken, and in time, the house was left behind too. The painting of the flowers was never finished, and the girl with the fairy wings never wore them again.